Welcome back to our Train With Us series. Today we're going to be talking about waste streams. A lot of people call this waste segregation. They'll talk about medical waste segregation. You'll hear that a lot. But today we're going to talk about all of your waste streams. So that will include your solid waste, recyclable waste, hazardous waste, and regulated medical waste. So it's very important that you know what the differences are so you don't get yourself in trouble or get the building you're working for in trouble. Let's get into this. So solid waste, this is things like food scraps, used paper towels, pizza boxes, packaging, stuff that we go through on a daily basis. You could also get into like broken furniture. You could get into heavy stuff like that, like stuff that's just, you know, it's gonna go into, let's say, a landfill. So that would be your solid waste. You also have your recycling waste. A lot of times buildings create recycling programs to either save money, or a lot of times this is also regulated by either the city or the county, or sometimes even federally, where they have to have a recycling program. So for you guys, it's very important that you know what we're recycling. So what is recycling waste? You're looking at paper, cardboard, plastics, pallets. Yeah, those big pallets you see. Certain things like toner cartridges, those get recycled as well. They'll empty them out, reseal them, put more toner in, and use them again. So keep that in mind when you're going through your recycling programs, if you're the one setting it up or if you're the one taking out all of the waste. We're going to talk about hazardous waste. So pharmaceuticals, they're considered hazardous wastes. Motor oils, ballast, batteries, aerosol cans, bulk chemotherapy waste, so those yellow top containers that you'll see, and this is what you'll see in buildings. You'll see yellow for chemo, you'll see sometimes blue for pharmaceuticals, you'll have purples for pharmaceuticals. It really just depends on the building and who is doing your medical waste. You'll notice something we didn't talk about in the hazardous waste. We didn't talk about sharps. We didn't talk about our red bag waste that a lot of people like calling it red bag waste. That's into the regulated medical waste section of our medical waste segregation, or our waste segregation part of it. So what is it? What is regulated medical waste? Well, it's exactly what it says. It's regulated either state, federally, by organizations that say this is how you dispose of it. The things that go in this type of waste are sharps, possibly syringes, scalpel ends, things like that. Bodily fluid. So actual bodily fluid is regulated medical waste. Human parts, animal parts. So that's also regulated. Specimens from the path labs, stuff like that. So for you guys that work in hospitals, when you got to go pick up the bucket from the path lab, that's regulated medical waste. Cultures and stocks, and you're looking at trace chemotherapy waste. Now I want to kind of transition into our red bag waste. How do we deal with it? How do we make it as safe as possible for us? And what do I need to do as, let's say, a waste handler? Now, let's say I have my bag like this. I'm assuming, I'm going to put my paper in here, that anything in this bag is biohazardous waste. At no time would I ever reach in and take anything out. And now I am prepared to handle this waste. So let's reiterate a few things. At no time am I going to be looking into the bag and be like, oh, well, that's not biohazardous waste. Let me put that in the regular trash can. Why I say that and why I reiterate that so much is because working in a hospital environment, I would say 90% of the time I have an employee come with a stick from a syringe or a needle stick or something like that, sharp sticking them. It's because they reached into a biohazardous waste bag, or they reached into the bottom of a biohazardous waste can and stuck themselves. So at no time am I reaching into there. So what do I do first? Well, first I'm going to remove it from the can. Now I'm going to keep this away from my body. I don't want this on my body. Well, why is that? Well, if it was on my body and there was a needle in it and it was sticking through the bag, I'm automatically going to stick myself. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get it away from my body. Secondly, I'm going to show you what not to do. What they call is dog ears. So what does that mean? Well, that looks like a dog ears, right? 2 dog ears, and I just tie it. That's improperly tying the bag. Let's say that there's an accident on the freeway and truck tips over and they find out that, well, we have blood all over the freeway because you didn't tie your bags right. That fine is going to come back to the facility. So how do we aid in stopping that from happening? Well, first of all, we never dog ear. What we are going to do is, again, away from my body, and what we like to call is a single knot. Now, if you notice, I'm not letting the air out. Like a lot of people will do this. I'll let the air out to make my bag smaller. We don't do that when we're dealing with biohazardous waste. So what we are doing is, like I said, a single knot. Keeping this away from my body. If you need to spin it, I'm not spinning the bag. What I am doing is turning my hand. So if you're one of those people that like to have a really nice tight knot, turn the top part of your hand and then make a single knot. Now what does that do? If there was liquid waste in this bag and I flip it upside down, it's far less likely to leak out on a single knot. If I had the dog-eared knot, it's gonna go everywhere, right? So now what do I do with this? Well, it has to be transported in a rolling watertight container. Not necessarily rolling, but if I'm in a large facility, I don't want to pick up my can, put it down, so we'll put wheels on these cans and dispose of it into that container. As I'm bringing it to that container, I'm not holding it next to my body. I'm keeping it away from my body, dropping it in the container, lid on the container. Now, regulatory reasons for the container. The container has to be labeled just like your can that you would leave in, let's say, a patient room. So the labeling doesn't change. All four sides and the top. Yes, it has to have a lid as we're transporting it. The other thing we talk about with medical waste segregation is specifically around biohazardous, AKA red bag waste. People ask, well, Greg, what else? Can't I just put that in there? I only have like 4 bags of waste. Can't I throw that into my trash can and just throw it into the bio can when I get around? No, you cannot. If you're dealing with red bag waste like this, it has to be in its own container. You can never commingle any of the waste streams together. So the waste streams we talked about, you don't want to commingle those together and be like, well, let me swap it all out and organize it when I get to my closet, or if you're in a hospital environment when I get to, who knows, the compactor. This has to be transported and stored in its own container. And as far as storage goes, again, we have to confirm lids are on it. We got to confirm that our cans are properly labeled. So that's biohazardous waste stickers, all 4 sides and the top, and the lids are on properly. When you do have an inspection, they will open the lids and they're gonna see, did you tie your bags right? If you didn't tie your bags right, that's when they start sending fines or they do warnings and you have to send a letter saying what you're gonna do to stop this. If you do everything the way that we just showed you here, you are limiting the ability to harm yourself, whether it be a needle stick or spilling bodily fluid on yourself that a lot of people are afraid of. So again, single knot away from your body, and we're storing it in a impervious watertight container. So you're looking at a rolling trash can that's properly labeled. I hope you learned a lot, and I hope to see you on our next Train With Us video.